Welcome back to the Contested Long Twos mock draft. This is part two. We cut the first part off at the lottery, and it was recorded before the trade between Boston and Philly, so I can't really recommend listening to that one, honestly. So don't even bother listening to part one. But here we leave off with the 15th pick, and it happened right after the Blazers traded up for Lauri Markkanen at 13, and they gave up Harkless and Noah Vonleh, so now the Nuggets will be picking at 15.
The Nuggets are going to select Jonah Bolden. Last played for FMP in the Adriatic League, did a season UCLA before that. I don't know if he would be here, though, if he stayed at UCLA and played alongside Lonzo, because this guy can he's really athletic. He can play the 4, he can play the 3, he can shoot. He shows flashes of playmaking, which is why I think his fit on the Nuggets is especially interesting. He can kind of contribute to the pass fest there. And maybe he can learn how to off-ball cut better. I don't know if he's necessarily elite at that, but he doesn't have as many opportunities to do that successfully in Adriatic League or last year's UCLA team as he will on the Nuggets. So I'm hoping that part of his game can flourish. He's a smart player, so I think he'll have no problem learning that. And he can be a defender, which is important for this team, as I talked about. We just want people who can guard people, and I think Jonah Bolden has a lot. Kind of reminds me athletically of what Wilson Chandler was earlier in his career. Yeah. Now we have a really old Wilson Chandler on the Nuggets, and he's probably not going to stay long if we're looking to rebuild. The real Nuggets are looking to contend. I'm taking a more patient approach. Yeah. By developing Harkless and Bolden on this team, and I think we'll have a lot of interesting wings to play alongside, who can shoot and defend, to play alongside Jokic, because that's what you really want alongside Jokic, is just guys who can shoot and defend.
Yeah, no, the Nuggets are in a perfect position to take a chance on them. I like this pick a lot, actually. It seems like a reach, but also at 15, there's no one else on the board here that you're really all that happy about. And even at 13, if you took him there, it wouldn't have been all that interesting. But it's such a it's a very high upside pick on a team that can afford a high upside pick, and it's a high upside pick that works perfectly with the current talent, and that's what you really, really want. So it's so worth this shot.
Yeah, I really like him as a player. He's 21, but I'm okay with that. This is not a team that we need to I think a lot of the core players are in place.
Yeah.
So I don't really care if a guy's 21, because I feel like he can be effective pretty soon and have effective players around him pretty soon. Gary Harris and Jokic are 22. Those who I think are the two best players right now. I think Jamal Murray will eventually surpass Harris if all goes according to plan.
Yep.
He's 20, or 19 or 20, so it all just works out time-wise too.
Yep. All right, so I have the Chicago Bulls, and I hate everything. I was trying to trade Jimmy Butler, but that wasn't really going to happen just because the offers didn't seem right. We're going to take Jared Allen. We're not very happy about it.
Right.
He's probably not going to be happy about it because he doesn't seem to really like playing basketball.
It's a perfect fit.
Yeah, it'll be great when we trade for Jahlil Okafor and put him next to him because that'll be fun. And Robin Lopez will maybe get him to smile once or twice.
Yeah,
and that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think the Jared Allen hating basketball stuff was overblown just because he showed flashes of he didn't always have a consistent motor, but there was moments where he looked like he was trying at least.
Yeah,
maybe it was just by happenstance that he blocked all those shots just because he has a 7-foot wingspan. But if you get a guy who blocks shots by happenstance, then if you can get him motivated, he can be a really interesting player for sure.
Yeah, the first thing we did when we called him and told him we picked him is give him Dwayne Wade's number, and then we just tell him to text him every 5 minutes. We think that Jared Allen's going to be fairly annoying because he's a 19-year-old. Of course, he's going to be annoying.
I mean, yeah, a lot of these guys are pretty immature. Probably Dwayne Wade won't like any of them.
Yeah, and we really don't want Dwayne Wade to opt into his player option. So we looked at the board and we thought that he might like John Collins, so we weren't going to consider him. And we thought he might like Justin Patton for some reason. He's from the Midwest. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to consider
Midwest
him.
guys.
Yeah. So we thought that Justin Jackson's probably a real person, so we didn't want to consider him.
I mean, he's older at least.
Yeah. So we thought, hey, Jared Allen might be A, very talented in the future, and B, pretty annoying. So let's go with this.
I love it. There's no grounds for this whatsoever. It's like, yeah, no, Jared Allen, he has his afro.
Well, that's not a part of it.
No, his afro is actually great.
His afro's great, yeah. This is not at all like about his appearance. This is all that he's 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, because I was hoping you weren't talking shit about his afro.
Absolutely not.
It makes him look like he's 7'4".
Yeah.
So that's also a nice thing.
Yeah,
going
no,
for him.
if he gets rid of the afro,
I
wouldn't
honestly
draft him
think
yet.
Jared Allen, other than Zach Collins, because of his potential 3-point shooting, is the best big in this class.
he has the potential to be.
I guess Markkanen is technically a big.
Yeah.
I kind of consider him differently, but yeah.
Yeah, I view him as positionless.
Allen, it's like the surest bet you can get, just because like guys like Patton aren't quite as polished as a defender.
Yeah.
I like this pick a lot, even though it is the Bulls, and it's hard to like anything the Bulls do ever.
Yeah. That'll happen.
Yeah.
All right.
The Bucks are on the clock. They're going to take John Collins out of Wake Forest. I don't quite know how he fits in with this team. I kind of see him as a small ball center on this team, which I think can work because I can get enough weak side rim protection from Giannis. I'm just kind of betting on Giannis to be enough of an octopus that you can play John Collins next to him and be okay inside.
It worked for Greg Monroe.
Yeah. So that exactly. So Greg Monroe had a career year this year. He might not stay. Who knows? I think he'll accept his option, but that's kind of a 50-50. Not that I think he can get more annually, but he might get more long term. And Collins, would provide a nice just burst of offense for this team because they're other than Monroe, they're kind of, and maybe if Thon can continue to develop, they're kind of hard pressed for just like interior scoring.
Yeah.
And, they also don't have the best exterior scoring, which is not a term you ever hear. Perimeter scoring, just because Giannis, still working on his 3-point shot. Jabari, obviously, that hurt them a lot when he went out. We don't know what he's going to be. We hope he is going to be good if they want to, eventually use him as a piece to contend, which seems like they will need to.
Yeah.
And, Brogdon can shoot. The thing I like about Collins is he just seems like one of the more opportunistic scorers that I've seen in the draft in a while. And what I mean by that is like he'll operate in very little space. His Wake Forest system, he wasn't surrounded with like necessarily the best players,
Yeah.
We all love Scotty Wilbekin's little brother, but we're not talking about him on draft night. So just the way he was able to score from weird angles where you're just like, that's not a really feasible shot, and then he just makes it. I remember we were watching Clemson, he just scored 10 for 11 and just like took the weirdest shots that didn't seem like they were open at all. So I'm just wondering when you get that guy on Giannis Antetokounmpo's team, what can happen? Because Bucks are, until they get like really consistent shooting from Giannis, their offense is all kind of about operating in those little slivers where I think John Collins can really thrive.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool fit. There are going to be openings, like you said. I think he might be able to improve enough defensively. I don't trust that, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah.
And like the reason I had Allen above Collins is that I view him like I like all of his strengths. I just view him as a backup big man.
Yeah.
And in this league, I think I can turn around and find 5 backup big men under my bed. Like it's really there's just so many of them. And so the idea of investing a high first round pick for me isn't worth it. In this case, however, like he's a pretty good fit there. You look at what this team needs, and like Greg Monroe's probably not going to be around there full time, if not this year, then next. He's gonna get a part-time job. No, he's gonna move on. But like the idea that he'll fill that role, it'll be useful, and then they can build from there. So I do like this fit a lot.
Yeah, and even if he is a backup big man, I think he has a unique ability to score the basketball, which will be very helpful for the Bucks.
No, I agree. Mm-hmm. Okay, 18 with the Pacers. Are the Nuggets interested in the 18 from Malik Beasley deal?
Since we drafted Harkless and Bolden, who are both threes, I think we're going to hold on to Beasley and let you control them as Indiana.
Yeah. So the explanation behind that is that I love Malik Beasley last year and think that he might be a little bit undervalued right now, and I don't like anyone that much at 18. That being said, I'm going to pick Jawan Evans. The Indiana Pacers need someone that can do something with the ball in their hands. Like, even if they... Obviously, the big question is Paul George or not Paul George. And I have Evans as my highest ranked player on my board anyway here, so it kind of fits into that BPA category as well. And if they re-sign Jeff Teague, and I would still drafting Jawan Evans and signing Jeff Teague doesn't change anything, right? But just the idea that we have someone who can dribble the ball and be useful. The big question with Evans is, can he has trouble. He's fairly short, and he had trouble like seeing over big players in college at times. But like his ability to get to the basket is incredible. And if you put him on a team with spacing, which unfortunately I didn't really, but oh well, he can like maneuver even more because he didn't get any spacing in college because he was on a college team. He's fairly short, like I said, but like there were times where he would break down Josh Jackson off the dribble, and it was just really fun to watch. So I think he's going to be a decent player. Nothing great, but it's 18. I don't think anything great, and I'm happy with the fit there.
Yeah, I think that Jawan Evans and Miles Turner will be an interesting core of the future once Paul George leaves for the Lakers.
Probably, yeah.
And, maybe Jawan Evans is not like a starting caliber player. I think he can become like a guy who you can get away with starting. The thing for me with Evans is like the indicators are all there. He's getting to the rim a ton. He's shooting well. He's getting to the line.
Yeah.
He's like creating opportunities for guys. They had one of the best offenses, and he was by far the best player on that team. And so, like, everything's there except for the size. And, I don't want to compare him to Isaiah Thomas because, like, I feel like if Isaiah Thomas didn't exist, I'd be lower on Jawan Evans. And I kind of hate that about myself, that I have that bias that I've seen a diminutive point guard work out lately. But, I can't. Isaiah Thomas is kind of an outlier, but I just think he does have enough core skills to offset his size and his worth picking at 18 for that reason. I'm not saying he's going to become Isaiah Thomas.
No, it's totally fair.
Yeah.
I will say, just when looking at this, that I have my top 18 have all gone.
Yeah.
Like, there's no one who I think that, like, we ended up having different orders with the way the draft went, the way the board went, but like my top 18 players are all gone. Like, there's no one that popped up in there, which is really funny.
Yeah. All right, so Hawks at 19
Yep.
are going to select Justin Jackson.
Yep.
Out of University of North Carolina. This just seems like a very good fit, since he just seems like a guy who would be on the Hawks in the sense that, like, one of those wings who, learns how to shoot and goes to Hawks University.
The next DeAndre Bembry.
Exactly. I mean, you can argue, like, they kind of need him, too, because they have Tim Hardaway Jr., who knows, like, the Nets might throw a boatload of cash at him, and he might just go there. Kent Bazemore had a terrible year from 3. I don't know what he's going to be. And not that they necessarily need to draft for fit now, but like you look at like the wings. Where is Hawks University? Where are all these budding wing prospects? And I know that Budenholzer can work magic on these guys. Not necessarily magic, but really maximize their potential. We saw that with Damari Carroll. We saw that with Bazemore when he was good. And maybe I'm just kind of like confirmation bias by saying Bazemore was good, so Hawks University, now he's bad. So, but...
Yeah, but also, Bazemore was not very good last year, which it also worked on Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince was pretty good last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? So,
I forgot about him, yeah.
Yeah, but like, having good 3-and-D wings, theoretically, isn't a bad... Like, you can never have enough of those in this league. They're always going to be trade valuable because there are just so few good 3-and-D wings. So if Justin Jackson actually works out, and you think that the Hawks can make it so he works out, he's worth the pick at 19.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't matter what your roster construction is at that point. If they don't have Paul Millsap, it'll be difficult for them to be as good, obviously.
Yeah.
That's not...
I considered Cam Oliver as kind of a 4 replacement there, and like Justin Patton for like Dwight Howard, but I don't really love either of those guys enough to pass up the floor of Josh Jackson. Like I really trust his shooting stroke, even though he only shot well from 3 his junior year. It looks very fluid. He was able to shoot the ball well from the free throw line, and also had like NBA range on it, which is another good indicator, I think, that that shot can hold up. And he was 19th on my board anyway, and it just compounds it by the fact that Hawks are great at developing 3-and-D wings.
Nope, I agree. At 20, the Blazers offer 20 and Evan Turner to the Nets for Trevor Booker.
Nets are not going to do anything with that cap space, other than like throw it at unrestricted free agents. So they're fine with that. We really only have Brook Lopez and Jeremy Lin as major contracts hanging over us. And, we'll take on Evan Turner because we're probably more likely to get a player through the draft than to get a player through unrestricted free agency. We're looking at like a Mason Plumlee, Tim Hardaway level player if we're able to pry one away from their original team in unrestricted.
Yeah, and for the Blazers, just like, we're not paying the luxury tax for this team. You don't pay the luxury tax to go to the 8th seed. and we look at people that we can trade, we need to get rid of Evan Turner's contract. Oh, I should have asked you if he would take on what's his name as well.
Alan Crabb.
No.
Myers Leonard.
Yeah. I doubt you would.
We already made the deal.
Yeah, no. It's fine. But yeah, so Evan, we don't want Evan Turner. We don't have that, like, we have fewer people than you'd think in terms of, like, more players than you think, so, like, fewer room for draft picks. And, like, we could take a draft and stash here just to make up for that, but, like, there's no guys who we love that are European, or from other places, not just Europe, but that are foreign. So we are totally happy getting rid of Evan Turner's contract for a pick that we're not going to use, and Trevor Booker might be okay.
Yeah, Trevor Booker, has shown flashes from 3-point.
Yeah.
He can kind of get out on guys on the perimeter. He's kind of like Julius Randle's worst case scenario. So that's still an okay player.
Sure, like we'll take him and we save like a lot of money and don't have Evan Turner on our team anymore. Everybody's happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It is huge that you got off that contract.
Yep.
And, Nets don't really have like any guys who jump off the page here, so they're just gonna try to. But they do have 3 first round picks, so we're just gonna swing on high upside guys. If one of them sticks, that's fantastic.
Yep.
All right. So with the first pick, we're going to go probably Harry Giles out of Duke. I think just the guy left with the highest upside by a long shot.
Yeah.
I don't really see anybody else on the board that I need to pick. So
yeah,
I think that he would be a lottery pick if he stayed healthy. We've seen that his stroke is looking good in workouts. Whatever that means, I don't know. But scouts are saying that he's showing more in like the combine than he did at Duke, and like there was evidence to suggest he could do more than he showed at Duke. So while I don't necessarily take it for granted, I just feel like this guy. There's a reason this guy was viewed as like the number one player coming into Duke, and it just seems like a no-brainer for the Nets. What do we have to lose? Might as well take the guy who's had 3 leg surgeries, but has a great theoretical upside.
Giles is the best player in this draft.
Are you getting a Brooklyn Nets Giles jersey in this universe?
Jersey, maybe.
Jersey, okay, nice. But then you have to have a Nets jersey.
It says Giles on it.
I know.
All right, 21. You have OKC.
Yeah, and right now there's nobody who we really like here. So we would be open to trading the pick.
Orlando is interested and just wants to figure out salary. Okay. But the idea behind the trade would be that you'd be acquiring Terrence Ross and we would be acquiring this pick.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, Terrence Ross I think helps you as you need 3-and-D wings. He can kind of do both.
Yeah.
Better than anyone you're going to get here. So yeah, Terrence Ross to the...
Yeah, based on our estimates for 2017-2018 salaries.
We can wait for the trade like a week and then they get happen.
Yeah.
So the deal is Terrence Ross to OKC for the 21st pick, Kyle Singler, Josh Eustace, and Samaj Kristen. Basically, Magic aren't doing anything this year. May as well get another first-round pick, get a young guy. Terrence Ross is cool, but like we're not going to get much more than the 21st pick for him.
At best for the Magic, Terrence Ross is like, a replaceable... Like, they have Evan Fournier in place in the only position Terrence Ross can play. He's an undersized 3 or a backup 2. And he's not like a guy who moves the needle. The only reason I'm really doing this for Oklahoma City is just desperation.
Yep.
We just have no room to maneuver, and I really think that Victor Oladipo is improperly used as a 3-and-D guy. I think there's more playmaking ability. There's more ability to attack the rim than we saw last year. And this gives Oladipo opportunities to be the lead ball handler because Terrence Ross can play minutes with Westbrook. I trust Terrence Ross's shot. I don't trust his defense, but I at least think it'll be better than that of Abrinas or another guy. And they still have Robertson to check elite opponents, but it's just nice to have a guy, another shooting guard who can actually shoot the ball on Thunder.
Yep, and again, the Magic's get a first-round pick. Yep, it's a good fit. It's a good trade. The Magic are going to go ahead and pick Justin Patton. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hilarious because we already have Bismack Biyombo and Nikola Vucevic.
Yeah.
We just look and see who's the best player available. That's Justin Patton. There's no one else here that we're just really sweating about missing.
Yeah.
So we may as well just take him.
And Patton can provide a lot of minutes when you trade Vucevic for a second rounder this offseason.
Yeah.
And when you cap dump Biyombo.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
No, he's also someone that I don't really need to play right away, or like maybe we'll try to see if he can get some D-League time. So I'm fine with him not getting like extended minutes immediately.
Yeah. And I think that he's actually a very interesting prospect. He's kind of like, you're kind of sacrificing a little bit of the defensive upside with Allen because he has a 3-inch shorter wingspan with the potential to stretch the floor. He shot threes on a very low sample, but was able to hit a few and showed that he might be able to at least knock down 20-footers, shoot free throws okay.
Yeah.
And he just seems like a good basketball player.
Yeah.
Even if he's not quite there yet in terms of just like putting all of his crazy skills together.
No, exactly. And again, it's for the Magic. You may as well swing for this.
Yeah. And, he showed ability to like just play basketball by being on like a nationally ranked team.
Yeah.
Creighton was a very good basketball team, and that was partially because of him.
Yeah.
So he's further along than a lot of these other project big men in the draft, who we will probably end up picking a few of going forward.
Yep.
All right, so that means Brooklyn is back on the board. The lowly Brooklyn Nets. We're going to look around the board a little bit, and I think that with this pick, this is kind of tough because I feel like Harry Giles can only really play the 5.
Yeah.
And so there are a lot of the best players on my board are 5s. But despite that, I think we're going to go Pasechniks. We don't know how to say his first name, so we're just going to call him Pasechniks. You'll see him on our board. We're better at spelling it than pronouncing it. So Pasechniks at 22, kind of a draft and stash guy.
Yeah.
I don't need him to come over and make an impact on the friggin' Brooklyn Nets. And he definitely has signs of being able to protect the rim. I don't know that much about him because there's just not that much footage on him. The Draft Express for him hasn't been made. I didn't watch any of him because he didn't go to an American college. Stuff like that. But from all I've seen, he is a legitimate rim protector who I think is just cool to have. And you can find out more about him and why I picked him here on your own time. I won't be telling you that.
Yeah, I've never seen his face. I'm not even seen him play basketball. I've never seen what he looks like.
In the Spanish league, he only took 0.3 threes a game. We did a lot of looking up there. We just edited a lot of stuff out. I didn't do that subtly at all. But yeah, no, he can potentially shoot the ball. He's 7'3", and he's from Latvia. I don't know what that means, but Kristaps Porzingis was from there. That comes into play. That kind of bias comes into play when you just don't know that much and are asked to make a decision. But he seems like a high upside player, and enough to warrant picking him at 22 for the Nets.
Yeah, I'm down.
Cool, dope.
All right. So you're at 23 with the Raptors.
All right, and I am back on the board with the Toronto Blue Jays. I will. All right, let me just look at. Yeah, none of these guys are available now. So with Toronto, I will pick. Let's go Cam Oliver with this one, and this is kind of a project big. I think that he can play the power forward, and going forward, it looks like I'm gonna be looking to build around Jakob Poeltl. Maybe if he can provide some rim protection. I think Oliver is an interesting 4. Maybe he can even get some spot minutes in this lineup. Definitely should play over Pascal Siakam because Oliver can ideally protect the rim, shoot threes. It's just a matter of whether he can put it together. He didn't play with a team that had a point guard in college, so along with being on a bad college basketball team, it was even more, just chaos on that team. And a lot of the things that have him lower than the mid-first round or late first round on a lot of people's boards are stuff I can kind of look past if he can show that he can just block shots and hit threes.
Yeah, no, I've only seen his Draft Express, but he seems super talented. And he had a bad point guard, if I recall, in his college. And
they didn't have a point guard.
Yeah.
They didn't play with a point guard.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Per Jonathan Sharks.
So
who I trust.
He has potential. At 23, you may as well take him. And if it incentivizes you to not give a long-term contract to Serge Ibaka, probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Probably won't incentivize you that much, but
I don't know if I probably still will if I'm this team. You know, they've kind of made their own bed, and now they've made their own $120 million
Serge
bed.
Ibaka's not that good.
Yeah, you're right. But like, what else are they gonna do?
It's one thing to be like okay, trying to be like a solid mid-tier team in this era that I'm okay with, but when it's doing it by tying yourself to Serge Ibaka, then I'm not sure.
They already tied to themselves to DeMar
DeMar
DeRozan,
DeRozan,
so
yeah.
sunk cost fallacy. Just tie yourself to overrated players.
Yeah, he'll be great on their tanking.
What
team.
will make Kyle Lowry happy? All right, next
Going to
pick.
Philly. So the Utah Jazz are going to pick Derek White.
I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, he is interesting. He's going to get compared to George Hill, and it's not going to be fair because like George Hill's really, really good.
Yeah, George Hill's amazing.
Yeah, but Derek White has a lot of interesting traits, and the Utah Jazz don't really have a great backup point guard. Nato's fine, but we're not that happy with him. And if George Hill leaves, Derek White can't start for him. But like at least we have another person there. I was thinking about going power forward when I was thinking about this pick before, but I realized we need a backup point guard, and Derek White is available. He can shoot, he can defend. It might not work out as the 24th pick, but he's someone that we think fits our team well.
Yeah, no, I like that pick a lot. I think that he can kind of be a plug-and-play George Hill, even though he's not George Hill, if George Hill decides to leave. It seems like if Gordon Hayward stays, George Hill, they'll probably try to keep him as well.
Yeah.
And I feel like we'll know pretty quickly if Gordon Hayward wants to stay, just because like you have a lot of things riding on that. Maybe he doesn't make his decision right away, but I think George Hill will probably stay in Utah, but Derek White's still a nice player to have, and it makes it so you don't have to play a combination of Raul Neto and Shelvin Mack as backup point guards.
Yeah, no, I think he's a really good fit here.
Yeah.
So I'm also up 25 with the Magic, and I'm going to pick DJ Wilson. He's a Michigan man, so you're a little upset. I haven't watched him play all that much, but from what I've read about him and like seen of him, he seems like an interesting wing prospect. And again, we don't care about fit. And so even though we've drafted Justin Patton, Josh Jackson, DJ Wilson, who probably won't ever share a floor together, we like that we have those guys on 4 years contract going forward, and we think they could be an interesting crop of young Magic players.
Yeah, I really like that pick for the Magic. Just he can shoot, and that's kind of what you need.
Yep, exactly. All right, so 26 with the Blazers. We offer 26 Noah Vonleh and Ed Davis to the Nuggets for Wilson Chandler.
Yeah, and Nuggets accept that trade. We, especially after getting Harkless and Jonah Bolden, we don't really feel the need to play Wilson Chandler, especially if Gallo resigns here. I don't know if we'll offer him his next contract, as it'll be a little pricey and not with our timing window. But either way, I feel like Chandler's somewhat expendable for this team if they're not looking to win now, and I'm fine with getting Noah Vonleh, who I think can be an interesting piece next to Jokic. Potentially, I really don't know what to expect anything, but it's kind of just like a scratch game there. And 26 obviously can be very helpful, so we'll make that pick right now.
Just for the Blazers quickly. Wilson Chandler's such a good fit. Like he's the 3-and-D small forward they should have gotten last year, but then decided to sign Evan Turner. He's able to defend pretty well. He can play off ball and shoot. And again, you have a lineup now that can feature Lillard, McCollum, Wilson Chandler, Al-Farouq Aminu, and Lauri Markkanen, and they're not going to stop anyone.
Yeah.
But like you have two good wing defenders, and theoretically they can all shoot, and that'd be very, very hard to
Wilson
guard.
Chandler can guard some fours. So if you have if you're playing the Thunder and you have Roberson on the perimeter, you can stick Markkanen on him.
Yeah.
Or just if you can make teams pay for using a non-shooter and by hiding Markkanen.
Yeah, and we can do ultra small lineups that have Allen Crabbe at the 3, even if we need to. We don't have a ton of 3 depth right now. It's probably only our biggest flaw. We also I think should have a little bit more money by doing that. So we've saved a decent amount of money, and we feel like we have a really good team now, a solid team now.
Definitely. Who was the other person other than Noah Vonleh in that trade?
Ed Davis.
Yeah, and that's fine for the Nuggets.
Yeah, he doesn't really matter, but sure.
They have minutes to spare at the big man slots. I don't plan on extending Mason Plumlee as this team. I don't want to give him his next contract. And Kenneth Faried, I don't know what to do with. So Ed Davis can at least play spot minutes and just score the ball when Jokic makes a good pass to him.
Do Ed Davis things.
Ed Davis is a fine player.
Yeah, no, he does things.
Yeah, he's just not really great at defending or shooting, which is what you want from a big man now. Anyway, let's keep going.
Nuggets 26.
Yeah, Nuggets are at 26, and I think now we're going to go, let's see. I think we'll go, and we can edit out the
Yeah.
drawing. I think we're going to go Jordan Bell. Kind of for the same reason that they were considering Anunoby if he was there.
Yeah.
Basically, you want to maximize Jokic's talents, but at some point, you want a guy who can bring a modicum of defense. And I don't know if Jordan Bell will ever start for this team, but he does do that. He can be a weak side rim protector. He can defend the perimeter. He's just kind of a Swiss Army knife that you can plug into the 4 position alongside Jokic that makes everything work. And if he develops an offensive game, then you potentially have a starting power forward.
Yep.
So not a bad pick, I think, for the Nuggets here.
Not at all.
All right, and I also have 27, and that is controlled by, I forget, the Brooklyn Nets.
Yep.
All right.
This is the Wizards pick. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the 22 is the
No,
Wizards
yeah,
pick.
this is Celtics pick.
Celtics pick, yeah. And they're going to go Semi Ojeleye out of Southern Methodist. I think the best talent on the board still.
Yeah.
I just really like his game. I think he's a good shooter. His very natural shooting stroke, and he can play the 3 and the 4, which, this team, while I just kind of took 2 gambles on 2 high upside big men, this team kind of needs everything. So I'm fine putting him at the 4 or at the 3 and going from there.
Yeah, no, I think it's a cool fit. I think he can hopefully do some things there. And again, best talent on the board, you may as well feed the Nets.
Yep. All right, and I have 28 as the Lakers. Okay, so this one's kind of tough. I feel like there is no one who fills any needs because while they don't have like star prospects at every position,
Right.
they have pretty good prospects at every position.
Are you interested in Reggie Jackson?
I don't want Reggie
We'll take
Jackson.
Timofey Mozgov.
Huh. For Reggie Jackson?
And the 28th pick.
28th pick? Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. The thought process here is that Reggie was an issue in the locker room last year. We really don't want him around. He's a bad contract. He's not as bad of a contract as Mozgov, obviously. But we are willing to eat Mozgov's deal because we don't have any cap room anyway. We like having a first-round pick this year.
And there weren't obvious directions to go here with the Lakers. I
Yeah.
don't really think that we could pick anyone who does anything better than anyone we have on the roster right now.
Yeah.
Maybe Bam Adebayo could be like a better lob finisher than Zubac, but I'm really high on Zubac. Like, I don't know why I'm so high on Zubac. I just think he's really talented for a 19-year-old, and if he can get a little bit more mobility, is a starting center.
Yeah, no, he's a decent prospect. He's a good backup prospect.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I like the trade with the Lakers.
Yeah, and getting rid of Mozgov's contract is huge, and they also kind of need a guy who can just like make plays for others. And while Reggie Jackson isn't the best version of that, he does do that a little bit for the Lakers. He can find Lonzo for open shots. It kind of becomes dicey when juggling the minutes of D'Angelo, Lonzo, and Reggie because 2 of them will want to start, and only 3 of them will all want to start, and only 2 of them can start. But it's an okay problem to have. I don't mind D'Angelo as like a 6th man type.
Yeah.
Lonzo could even be that his rookie year. LeVar Ball would be sending me voicemails every day because of that.
Yeah.
But I just think that they need a little bit more stability in their backcourt right now.
Yeah.
And one more thing I'll add is that like I don't really feel okay tossing it to like the young players because I really think that Lonzo's development is very team dependent. You can't just like expect him to be a lead guard or play alongside an unproven pick and roll player in D'Angelo Russell and be okay with that. So just having Jackson gives me a little bit more satisfaction with Lonzo's role on that team.
No, it's a good fit there, and you'll balance the minutes. There might be a little bit of tension, but you'll make it work.
Yeah, there's always tension if there's Reggie Jackson.
Yeah. but
when you can offload Mozgov's contract, it's worth it.
Yep. And at 28, we're going to pick TJ Leaf. It's funny because we just traded for this pick, and we picked a guy who might not be very good. But like Leaf's theoretic game is really interesting. He was definitely helped a lot by having Lonzo Ball. Like, if he wasn't at UCLA, he's probably not a first-round pick this year. But his game, he shot pretty well. He at times looked mobile, at times looked pretty stiff. Is a very bad defender, and has okay vision. So he's someone who I think will be okay. And I like in Stan Van's system if he works out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too high on him.
Look, he's better than Henry Ellenson.
Yep.
And that's who the Pistons are relying on to kind of be like their backup big of the future behind Drummond and whoever fills that power forward role. And I like TJ Leaf a lot more than Henry Ellenson as a player. I don't know what Henry Ellenson does for you. So all of a sudden, like, they don't have to worry about relying on him at all, which is huge. They don't have to rely on like John Lure. I guess Marcus Morris or Tobias Harris will be the starter for the time being at the power forward. But I think TJ Leaf, if he's going to succeed in an environment, it's going to be alongside a Drummond that can continue to improve, and Eric Bledsoe. So I think that he can really benefit from playing in Stan Van's system.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
While I don't have him as 28th on my board, I just really like that fit for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and the Spurs are next. And the question is, who are the Spurs going to pick to make everybody slap their forehead and say, how did the Spurs pick that guy? What did we do wrong to get the Spurs into that guy's hand and make them become the next rulers of the world, etc.? So I don't know if this guy is that, but I'm going to pick him anyway. I'm going to pick Frank Jackson with the Spurs.
Sure.
And I really think that his flaws, which he has a few, he's kind of an off-ball one, kind of in the Patty Mills role. If he ever becomes Patty Mills, this pick is a home run. I don't expect him to.
Right.
But, Patty Mills won't be there forever. He might even be there this offseason. I expect Spurs to do whatever they can, but if someone tries to pay him starting point guard money, that becomes a little bit trickier. So having Jackson kind of becomes the Patty Mills to DeJounte Murray's Tony Parker, where you have a starting guy who can, make passes, penetrate, get to the rim in DeJounte Murray, and then you have a bench guy in Frank Jackson who can provide offense, and then you give the ball to Kawhi. You give it to not Ginobili, since he's dead now, or at least retired.
We think. That's not official yet.
Yeah, probably. And you find another guy, because you're the friggin' Spurs, to give the ball in their hand, whether it's friggin' Kyle Anderson, I don't know. And then you just have Frank Jackson play off ball. I just think that he's a smart enough player and a good enough shooter and athletic enough to make it work. I honestly think that he might have gotten a first-round promise. Otherwise, because I don't really understand why he's still in the draft. It seems like he would have a huge opportunity to flourish alongside Duke with their next class of freshman prospects. But someone must be high on him if he decided to stay in the draft, and maybe it's the Spurs, maybe it isn't, but I think he works here.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a solid fit if he works out, and there's no one else here that I actually like, so it's worth taking a shot on him.
Yeah, definitely.
30 with the Jazz. We're going to go Isaiah Hartenstein. I thought he was okay. I never saw him play, and then Scott, half an hour before the podcast started, told me he was bad.
Which I only heard, to be fair, from Jonathan Sharks again. I listened to his podcast with Kevin O'Connor about some international prospects.
Yeah, that's worthwhile. I should do that.
Yeah,
basically, there's no one here that I like, and I like the idea of picking a guy who I don't have to pay yet if I'm the Jazz, because if we sign both Hayward and Hill, it's going to be pretty expensive. So with Hartenstein, we get a guy who will be developing overseas. Maybe he turns into something, maybe he doesn't, but at least I'm not paying him yet.
Yeah. All right, so that's the first round. We're not going to do the second round because we're already scraping the bottom of the barrel for these guys, in our opinion. Some notable ones that we left off, Josh Hart, Tony Bradley, Tyler Lydon, Thomas Bryant. Ike didn't go first round. That's right. That could have been an interesting fit with the Spurs. Forgot about Ike. Bam Adebayo didn't go. Matthias Lesor. Wesley Iwundu. Kyle Kuzma. Sterling Brown. All guys who might have a case to be in the late first round. Ivan Rabb. I don't think he has a case to be in the late first round. Yeah. But a lot of guys who could be there who weren't for our particular draft.
Looking back, I think that I don't know if we touched on the Zach Collins fit in Phoenix.
Right.
Which I really like. I don't care about, what's his name? Not Tyson Chandler, the other one.
Alex Len.
I don't care about him.
No, me neither.
And the idea of having Tatum and Zach Collins, Devin Booker, who I don't love,
super cool.
But I think he's a decent young core to go forward and will be bad and will work out.
Plus, if Tatum plays your 4 and he can shoot threes, and Zach Collins plays your 5 and he can shoot threes, you get a better opportunity to play TJ Warren, who I really like.
Yeah,
more people should talk about TJ Warren because he can't shoot the 3, but he's just just really good at scoring points, and he's an okay defender to make all that work. I like the way he plays basketball. He's a poor man's Jabari Parker, and everyone should watch more T.J. Warren.
Yeah, and they also, if Dragan Bender develops, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah, and they have Marquise Chris.
Yeah, so they could have a really switchy team, which is kind of fun. So I like that.
Forgot about Dragan and Chris. Wow.
Yeah.
It's a cool team.
Who else do I like? Who jumps off to you having a good draft? The Kings, it worked out, although they need someone to handle the ball.
Their draft is not complete, or their project. I really like what the Nuggets did.
Yeah.
Just because they were in a position where they were probably going to pick Markkanen since he was still on the board.
Right.
I really like Bolden for the Nuggets, but you can't deny just the offensive upside of playing Markkanen and Jokic together. Yeah. And Blazers obviously also saw the offensive upside in Markkanen and were willing to give up Mo Harkless, who is kind of, maybe not as far along as people like to admit. They see Mo Harkless and they're like, I wish he was a really good player. He did only shoot 35%. It would have been lower if he didn't just stop taking it so he got his contract bonus.
Yep.
Stopped taking threes the last couple of games because he was at 35.1.
Yep.
So that's still a question mark. And we've seen guys look overrated as shooters in the Blazers system just because of how free-flowing the offense is, how transition-heavy it is.
Yep.
Al-Farouq Amino for one. But... Nuggets got Bolden and Harkless, and I feel like potentially clogged up a lot of the leakages in their defense going forward.
No, I do. I like that a lot. I like what Brooklyn did, just using their cap space to get Harry Giles. I thought was solid. Then the other picks getting Pistechnitz and Ojale, I think, are good players. Jordan Bell also with the Nuggets is not bad at all.
Oh, yeah. They also got Bell with the 26th
Utah, I like that Derek White pick. And Orlando, I thought did decently. Josh Jackson isn't perfect, but I think it's 6. He's a good value. Yeah. And then you look getting 21 for Terrence Ross and going Patton. I think is an interesting piece.
Patton's a nice upside play.
And DJ Wilson's also a nice thing to round that out. So I think it's an interesting class.
Yeah, no, definitely. Someone else I like is, again, we'll kind of argue this a lot, but I still like the idea of OG Anunoby on the Timberwolves. That's something I just kind of realized that would work.
Yeah.
Kind of like the last couple hours before this draft, and I was like, yep, that's the move.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Even though Charlotte wasn't able to move out of 11, I think for the pick Mitchell, I think that was the right pick there. Yeah. I like 14 going Kennard for the Heat.
Yeah. Do you want to just recap all the trades we also didn't mention?
Yeah. So the trades the first one was the ones that we didn't end up doing.
Oh no, the ones that we did.
Okay, yeah. So the first one we did was Eric Bledsoe going to Detroit for the 12th pick, Aaron Baines, Stanley Johnson, and Ish Smith. This gives Stan Van a real point guard. He'd move Reggie Jackson later, so not in a weird locker room situation, or less weird at least. They give him Stanley Johnson in 12, which was a little hard, but realistically, Johnson's not going to get a lot of playing time.
And he adds another kind of dice roll for the Suns.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's another 3-and-D guy that could potentially work out for. So, Suns did really, really well this class, I think.
Another great draft for them. I thought they did the best out of all the teams picking Bender, Chris, and Ulis last year. So
that was solid.
I really like where this team's going.
And then if TJ Leaf works out for the Pistons, I think.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I didn't see that coming, but I kind of agree with it to a certain extent, just because Leaf, while he has huge flaws, kind of brings a lot of skills that guys at that level, at that pick, don't.
Yeah. Then the next trade was the pick after, where Portland moved 15 and Mo Harkless for 13 and Mike Miller. This was to get Lauri Markkanen, who I've talked a lot about, so I'm going to talk about.
One thing I'll also mention, I was very glad John Collins fell to the Bucks. I didn't think he was going to follow the Bucks.
No, that was very good. Yeah. I'm glad I got to pick Jared Allen at 16 also.
Yeah.
That I'm really excited about. So our next trade was our 20 and Evan Turner for Trevor Booker.
Trade the player who might not like basketball in Jared Allen. Draft the player who might not like basketball to the team that might not like basketball in the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, real quick, the Sixers offered Jahlil Okafor the Chicago Bulls for a second round pick.
Okay, sure, yeah, he's on Professor Oak is on the.
Perfect.
All right, awesome.
This couldn't have ended without that going through.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't pushing to trade Okafor harder, but I guess the reason you couldn't is because this is a first round draft. Got him.
Yeah, and what was I gonna offer? You weren't gonna give me any late first.
No, yeah.
You weren't gonna give me 27.
We're past that. Maybe last year. In fact, I gave you the 13th pick last year.
Yeah.
But then I realized he's really bad.
No. Yeah. So 20 and Evan Turner for Trevor Booker. This saves the Blazers money, gets the Nets a pick, and Trevor Booker maybe is something.
Yeah, and like I picked Harry Giles.
Yeah,
I don't know what that really does for Portland, at least other than just like giving them another dice roll there. You have Noah Vonleh, who was actually traded later on. Actually, before we get there, 21, Terrence Ross for the 21st pick and cap filler.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a move I had to kind of bite the bullet on as OKC, just knowing that he was my best option.
Yeah.
And like he's not a real player I want to give up a first round for, but they've definitely hamstrung themselves into a position that they kind of have to.
Yeah, no, if you're going to build around Russell Westbrook, this makes sense.
Yeah. I don't want another I don't know if Russell Westbrook can repeat his 2016-2017
Probably
season.
can't.
Probably can.
Probably can't.
Probably can't, yeah. So I want to give the ball in Oladipo's hands, and the only way that can happen is if I get to play Oladipo without Westbrook, and the only way I can play Oladipo without Westbrook is if I get another shooter at shooting guard, and so I got Terrence Ross.
Yeah, no, he's a good fit there.
Yeah.
And 21, you're not going to do, like, what are you going to do with Justin Patton, right? Like, you have two big guys already.
Hopefully Oladipo can actually make plays. I've been banking on this assumption.
No, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Then after that was the 26 Ed Davis and Noah Vonleh for Wilson Chandler trade.
Yep.
This gave the Blazers the 3 and D3 they actually need, and gave the Nuggets 26, who they used for Jordan Bell. So an interesting potential defensive piece there. Noah Vonleh, who has showed some things at the end of the season last year, and Ed Davis because he's a person. And then the last trade was 28 and Timofey Mozgov for Reggie Jackson, which the Pistons aren't thrilled just in terms of that what we get for Reggie Jackson, but like
crisis averted.
Yeah, like it would have been really awkward.
Yeah.
And we, as we said before, we got TJ Leaf for that, which we think is a cool fit.
All right, and that's another draft in the books. That was really fun. Probably my favorite one so far.
Yeah, and the most not insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times.
It seemed really realistic, and to all our friends who listen to this, let us know what you think.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening to the 1 minute and 32 second mark. All right, we're going to go play video games and hang with our friends now. Because we're
in college.
Not anymore, but yeah,
Bye.
we can pretend. See you later.